This is James Mullinger. James was one of the top stand-up comedians and a well-known TV presenter in his homeland of England. He toured 5 stand-up shows over 5 years and performed to over 3,600 people at London's Hammersmith Apollo in March this year. He appeared on screen with the likes of Tom Cruise, Jerry Seinfeld, Daniel Craig, Matthew McConaughey, Channing Tatum, Robert Downey Jr., George Clooney, and Robin Williams. He hung out with celebrities. And appeared in big screen movies. But last month, after living in London for all of his 36 years, he moved with his wife and family to St. John, New Brunswick.
We moved here because I love my wife's family. And by that, I mean I love free childcare.
James loves New Brunswick and spending more time with his family in this beautiful province. But he is having to start his stand-up career all over again, without a fan base here in Canada, which means taking gigs his agent wouldn't even have told him about when he was in England.
You know you've made it in entertainment when that is your dressing room, living the Canadian dream. Living in Atlantic Canada has brought me a whole new quality of life. I'm spending more time with my wife, with my kids, but most importantly, I'm loving the gigs here. Sure, the venues are different to what I was used to in England. You know, they're not theatres here, they're often food markets or outdoors, all kinds of different places. But I'm loving the challenge of making these gigs work. And in a place like this, in a small community, you have to nail every gig. In England, if you're a bad plumber or bad builder, you can get away with it forever because there's so many people that you do a bad job, you move on, no one talks to each other. Here, everybody talks. Everybody talks to one another. So if I go out and have a bad show, everyone knows about it. I've got to make sure that I bring something new and fresh every time. So I go off to do a gig in Moncton, I need to show the people of Moncton what I'm made of. And that's why I feel nervous, I feel apprehensive when I go and do a gig, because I'm determined to give them my best.
I hope you're prepared to go home barefoot, because this guy is going to knock your socks off. Ladies
I recently left London, England, and moved to a very happening part of Canada. It's called St. John, New Brunswick. Has anybody been to St. John, New Brunswick? I know, I made a bit of a mistake, didn't I? Jerry, nice to be here. Love Moncton. Love Moncton's a beautiful place. Thank you for having me, by the way. Thank you. Yeah, genuinely nice. Right. My wife and I, she moved to London, England 14 years ago. We were together all of that time, and then we moved here in February. And we moved here for a couple of reasons. Our lives in London were very crazy. We didn't get to see enough of each other. I was on the road all the time. And I didn't get to volunteer enough at my son's school. I have 2 children, 2 sons. We have parents in. They can't even muster the energy to clap. We've got a night off from the little shit, so don't bring them up. And don't worry, I'm going to bang on about my kids all night, because I know it's a bit boring. No one wants to hear about other people's kids, do they? Because let's be honest, kids are a bit like farts, aren't they? You only like your own. I've had to adapt in many ways. Like, in England, there's certain words we use that you don't use here. So, for example, we call the back of a car the boot, you call it the trunk. You call the pavement the sidewalk, and we call it pavement. But the one I didn't know was that the word fag here is a derogatory term used to describe homosexuals. Is that right? It's very naughty, you shouldn't do that. Because in England, the word fag is a cigarette. And I didn't know this, and I was trying to explain to people how much I smoke by saying that my lips have been on the butts of more fags than Freddie Mercury. Awkward, madam, awkward. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very, very much for coming out tonight. I'm going to bring on someone now to do these guys' floor. Thank you all very much indeed. Thank you very much indeed. No problem. And please give it up for the flying floor.
James is on the phone to his agent.
Hey, it's James. Your #1 client, remember? Yeah, it's going great. I love Canada, love New Brunswick, spending a lot of time with the wife and kids because you're not getting me any work. So, what have you got for me? No, listen, I've told you before, I'm not flying to Vancouver for $100. That's ridiculous.
James is having to get used to the fact that Canada is such a large country. In England, he could drive home after a gig wherever he was in the country. He is fast discovering that this is not possible in Canada, and that the gigs are few and far between.
Something a bit more local, something vaguely nearby. I had no idea how bloody big this country is. It's a beautiful country, but God, there's a lot of it. Yeah? 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 A winery? What, like a vineyard? Outdoors in a vineyard? So you literally want me to do a gig outdoors in a vineyard surrounded with grapes? Can't work. No gig like that could ever work. Well, I'm off to do a gig on the Kingston Peninsula at a vineyard. In New Brunswick. You can't get anywhere. It's insane. It's like being in central London. I do love going to the Kingston Peninsula. I love the fact that they hate bridges so much. These ferry boats, to me it feels so kind of old-fashioned, but I love it. I love it. The first time I visited New Brunswick was 14 years ago to stay with my wife's family who live on the Kingston Peninsula, and I couldn't get my head around the concept of ferry boats, the decision to not have a bridge. I find it fascinating. But look at this view. I mean, this is why I moved here, and I can't quite believe that this is my journey to a gig on a Friday night. Very different to London.
James has arrived at the Vineyard. He is speaking with his MC for the evening, CBC's Jeff Liberty.
Your headliner tonight, all the way from London, England, now from New Brunswick, you know, from Comedy Central, and just for laughs, please give it up for James Mullinger! Hello! Kingston Peninsula! I've made it!
I'm glad you laughed at that because my son's headmistress is actually in the front row. So the 43rd best restaurant in all of St. John, the 43rd best... What's that? That's okay. My son doesn't talk in your class, so I would appreciate it. I would appreciate it if you would show me the same respect. Are you chewing? Are you chewing? Yeah, I do love it. I tell you what, I mean, the first time I came here, I must admit, well, it took me a while to get here for starters, because of course what you Canadians like to do is mess with English people, don't you? Like, I first met my wife and she said, you know, come to St. John for Christmas and meet my family. I said, lovely. So of course I get to the airport just before Christmas, it was the 23rd of December, and I'm phoning us out here at the airport. She says, where are you? I can't see you. I was at St. John's Airport. Why are there two places with identical names? What are you trying to do to us? So I eventually fly to St. John, and of course I say fly to St. John, I did what always happens when you fly into St. John Airport. I arrived at St. John Airport, circled St. John Airport for 3 hours, then landed in bloody Fredericton. Do any planes actually land at St. John Airport? Why don't they get rid of this stupid thing? And then, of course, thank you, yes, thank you. Let's have one big airport that actually goes to some other places than bloody Halifax! But then I get in my rental car and I'm driving along and I set the GPS and I think I'm getting nearer and it says you're 30 minutes away, then you're 10 minutes away, then you're 5 minutes away. But I wasn't 5 minutes away because nobody told me that you don't like bridges here. What is with these barbaric ferry boats, ladies and gents? You're trying to keep us outsiders out, aren't you? And every year I would come, and of course now I've grown to love the ferry boats. I love them. It's a wonderful way of keeping the people we don't want here out. That's why we're all so cool here, right? But I arrived, and every year I would come here, and every year I would come, and there'd be a sign up at the Grand Bay Westfield ferry boat, and it would say, ferry boat broken. We need to raise another $4 million for another ferry boat. $4 million? Do you have any idea how many bloody bridges you're going to build? And here's an idea. If you're not going to build a bridge, why don't they just get all the broken ferry boats, put them back to back across the water, we'll drive across the broken ferry boat. There's a solution. But I always do my research, and one thing I used to use when I was travelling around the country and around the world doing stand-up shows was I would use TripAdvisor. Does anyone here use the website TripAdvisor? Yes, do you write the reviews, madam, or do you read them? No, so do you write them or do you read them? You just read them? Yeah, does anyone here write TripAdvisor reviews? See, you write them? No. See, we're all smart, intelligent people. So, TripAdvisor's a website that you go on and you write reviews of a place. If you go to Paris and you go to the Eiffel Tower, you'll put 5 stars, lovely day, and it formulates the top kind of 100 list of things to do in Paris at any time, right? So what I want to do is a bit of research to check how valid TripAdvisor is I've brought with me the entire TripAdvisor entry for St. John, and we're going to go through this together and work out how accurate it is. Are we down with this? Right, okay, now you can tell me this. How accurate is this, right? And the thing is, why are we trusting the advice of these total strangers? Like, you're all smart people, you've got good friends, you can ask them, but instead we're going to people that could possibly be total idiots. Bloody TripAdvisor. Well, you may not like Irving Nature Park, but you won't agree with this. Dave from Toronto visited Irving Nature Park, and he gave it the following review. He gave it 1 star, your park, 1 star, subject line, terrible. What could possibly have gone wrong? Let's find out, shall we? I was very excited about visiting Irving Nature Park, having heard wonderful things about it in the guidebook. However, when I arrived, it was raining. It's not weather advisory, you fool! You're welcome. Should we carry on? Are we enjoying this? Is this good? Is it good? Is it good? Is it? Get it done. Yes, yes, very good. Yeah, don't shout other comedians' catchphrases at me. So the 9th best thing to do in all of St. John, the 9th best thing, tell me if you agree with this, is Cherrybrook Zoo. It's quite nice zoo if you like malnourished animals. Well, no, it is a nice day out with the kids. I took my son there and I believe there was a cat and an ant walking around. Lots to do. There's someone's given it a very short review, and I don't like these people. I don't like the people that do the long reviews, the flowery ones. Like, I awoke this morning feeling happy, right? But I also don't like this, where someone's actually gone to the effort of just putting nice zoo. This next one has just jumped out at me, and this is probably the favourite one that I found. What I like about TripAdvisor is, at least if you don't agree with the reviews or they're written by idiots, at least you can acknowledge it's up to the minute information. Like, the person has been there, they've experienced something, and they've come back and gone online. Now, with that in mind, I will read this review from Pat from Sussex. Pat? I know you're joking. I didn't know what you said. Pat from Sussex visited Cherrybrook Zoo. She has given it 1 star. What could possibly have gone wrong? Let's find out, shall we? The rain joke was funny when I did it. I'll just work forever, like you're going to walk into a bar tomorrow and go, rain! Hey! Mate, rain! But I appreciate being quoted my own stuff rather than Larry the Cable Guy. So that's a step forward at least, I have to say. Pat from Sussex is so angry, she hasn't even given it a subject line, she's just given it 1 star, and the review begins thus. The one and only time I went there, which was about 38 years ago... You know what, Pat? Keep your opinions to yourself! But I will read on. The one and only time I went there, which was about 38 years ago, the fence was a bit loose around the lions. Well, guess what, Pat? 38 years have gone by, no lions have escaped. So I'm thinking there was nothing wrong with the fence. The one and only time I went there, which was about 38 years ago, the fence was a bit loose around the lions. The lions charged at the fence and it moved a little bit. My son was 2 at the time in a stroller, and it scared us so much we never went back. He's 40 now. I'm thinking it's time to let it go. I mean, I hold the grudge as much as the next man, but is this man still sat there in Sussex, cowering in the corner? Lions! What I love about that is that she held a grudge for 38 years. I can just picture Pat driving back from Cherrybrook Zoo to Sussex that night, driving along going, bloody fence! Wobbling it was! If only there was some kind of public forum in which I could share this information. And she sat there in Sussex in her rocking chair, biding her time. 30 years go by. The news comes on, the internet's been invented. Pat goes, yes! At last I shall have my say! Has anybody been to Peggy's Cove Lighthouse? I know it's not there, yes. I thought, yeah, it's lovely, isn't it? Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was a wonderful day out, and I have to share this because I did this research for another gig I was doing near there, and I just thought you'd like to hear it. One review, again, was very specific. It has just 3 words, and it says, just a lighthouse. The clue's in the name. But this is one of the most fascinating ones. This is Darren from Halifax. He visited Peggy's Cove Lighthouse. Now his subject line is, bathrooms disgusting, OMG. So he goes on, a must-see attraction and a beautiful view. However, there was a massive turd in the toilet. Now what's weird about this is that he's given it a 4-star review. Do you think the staff at Peggy's Cove Lighthouse saw the review and went, well, we'd better leave the turd there? We might get visitors coming from America going, where's the turd? Or one day someone accidentally flushes it and they're going, come on staff, eat food, we need a big turd in there. I did a gig in a campground in Shediac a few weeks ago. Living the dream, ladies and gents. Hammersmith Apollo in London to a campground in Shediac. Now, while I was doing my research for there, I visited there. It was a lovely place, had a great day on the beach, and I visited the Giant Lobster. Has anyone visited the Giant Lobster? It's fantastic, isn't it? I loved it. Unfortunately, this person from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, travelled a long way to visit the Shediac Giant Lobster and was so mortified that they felt they must write this review that only is 4 words, and it says, and obviously quite angry, they've come all the way from Pennsylvania, all the way to Shediac, and their disappointment is thus. It's 1 star, and the review says, not a real lobster. If it was, we would be in a horror movie. I mentioned earlier how nice it is to be amongst like real wine and quality wine, because when I first would come to visit here, what I always found surprising was that when people offered you wine, there was always a caveat. Like in England, if someone said to you, would you like a glass of wine? Would you like a glass of wine? You'd go, yes, I'd love a glass of wine, thank you. And there was no but. But in here, in New Brunswick, if you go to someone's house and they say, would you like a glass of wine? You go, yes, I'd love a glass of wine. There's a sentence they will say that will make your heart drop, and that sentence is, I made it myself! Ladies and gentlemen, on that bombshell, I have been Tony Mullinger, you have been fantastic. Thank you all for coming up tonight. I can honestly say that a gig in a vineyard on the Kingston Peninsula on a Friday night is more fun than doing a West End comedy club in central London. Honestly, I can honestly say I feel like I'm living the dream. Oh, hang on, sorry. Sorry, I've got to take this to my agent. We'll come back. Hello? Yeah? Yeah, no, it went really well. I was so surprised, honestly. Packed house, lovely audience, it's great. So what have you got for me? Yeah? Yeah? Oh, no.